The rain hammered against the floor-to-ceiling windows of Meridian Capital Group's 43rd floor boardroom. Julian Cross straightened his charcoal Tom Ford suit, catching his reflection in the polished glass. At 39, he'd clawed his way up from a working-class neighborhood in South Boston to become one of the most sought-after investment strategists in Manhattan. This interview for Chief Investment Officer was the final piece of his carefully constructed empire. The executive assistant, a poised woman with silver at her temples, gestured toward the conference room. Ms. Meridian will conduct the interview personally. Julian's pulse quickened with satisfaction. Isabel Meridian herself, the legendary founder who'd transformed a small boutique firm into a $22 billion powerhouse. Perfect. This was exactly the kind of access he'd been cultivating his entire career. When he entered, a woman stood at the window, silhouetted against the storm-darkened skyline. She turned slowly, and Julian's practiced smile froze on his face. Those eyes. He knew those eyes. The quiet woman he'd dismissed as just a freelance writer at countless dinner parties, the unassuming presence he'd tolerated at holiday gatherings, his soon-to-be ex-wife's mother. Isabel Meridian wasn't the struggling journalist he'd pitied. She was one of the most powerful women in American finance. Mr. Cross. Her voice carried the same measured calm that had built her empire. Please, sit down. Have you ever watched someone realize they made the worst mistake of their life? That moment when their face goes white and their entire world shatters in an instant. 3 weeks ago, my husband called me a nobody and walked out on our 7-year marriage. Today, he's sitting across from my billionaire mother in the job interview of his life. But to understand how we got here, how a man who measures everything by power and prestige found himself in the most humiliating moment of his career, we need to go back. If you've ever been underestimated, if you've ever been made to feel small by someone who couldn't see your true worth, this story is for you. Hit that subscribe button because what happens next is pure poetic justice. My name is Natasha Hollis. Today, I'm a published author, a writing teacher, and the daughter of one of the most powerful women in American finance. I live in a Brooklyn brownstone with a husband who sees me, truly sees me, and loves every part of who I am. But 7 years ago, I was just a struggling freelance writer who thought love meant making yourself smaller. I thought being a good wife meant disappearing into someone else's ambitions. I thought my worth was measured by the man standing next to me at cocktail parties, judging whether I was impressive enough to fit his carefully curated image. I was wrong about all of it. The end came on a Tuesday in March, unseasonably warm for early spring. I'd spent the day riding high on the best news of my career. The New Yorker had commissioned a 10,000-word piece about my late father's artist collective,